Today, I'll examine how government regulation shapes the technology landscape. We'll look at the ways public policy can guide innovation, constrain business activity, and influence the decisions organizations make about products, markets, data, and risk. The central idea is that regulation is not separate from technology strategy. It is part of the environment in which that strategy operates. Understanding that relationship helps businesses anticipate change, respond more effectively, and make better informed decisions in a rapidly evolving landscape. Technology often advances faster than markets can correct themselves. That creates a need for government intervention, not to stop innovation, but to make sure its benefits are broadly shared and its risks are managed. Three concerns are especially important. First, market failures, including monopolies, data exploitation, and harmful externalities. Second, public safety, because emerging technologies can create risks consumers cannot easily anticipate. And third, national security, which means protecting critical infrastructure and sensitive data from foreign threats. Together, these priorities help align technological progress with the public good. Data privacy laws are among the most consequential technology interventions because they shape how businesses collect, store, and use personal information. GDPR, CCPA, and PIPL represent three major regulatory models. The European Union's GDPR gives citizens broad control over their data and allows fines of up to 4% of global revenue. California's CCPA gives residents the right to know, delete, and opt out of data sales. China's PIPL is similarly comprehensive, with especially strict requirements around data localization. Together, these laws make privacy a core business responsibility. Antitrust and competition policy aims to keep powerful technology companies from stifling competition. Regulators examine mergers, acquisitions, and platform practices that could harm consumers or exclude rivals. The central concern is whether a dominant firm can use its position to control access to markets. That's why authorities in the European Union and the United States have considered breakup threats involving companies such as Google, Meta, and Amazon, while also blocking or conditioning acquisitions. They're addressing platform neutrality, including self-preferencing, and the EU's Digital Markets Act adds strict obligations for designated gatekeepers. Content moderation rules are moving through three important stages. First, the safe harbor era generally protected platforms from liability for content posted by users, as with Section 230 in the United States. Now, duty of care requirements are pushing platforms to actively address harmful content under laws such as the Digital Services Act and the Online Safety Act. A third shift is algorithmic accountability. Platforms may need to explain and audit how recommendation systems operate. Together, these changes are redefining responsibility, moving it increasingly from individual users toward the platforms themselves. Cybersecurity mandates establish a baseline that organizations must meet, rather than leaving protection entirely to internal policy. They typically cover two responsibilities: maintaining minimum security controls and reporting significant incidents within defined deadlines. Three examples illustrate this direction. The EU's NIS2 directive expands obligations for critical infrastructure operators. In the United States, CISA requirements call for federal agencies and contractors to report cyber incidents within 72 hours. And SEC rules require public companies to disclose material breaches in their filings. Together, these frameworks make cybersecurity a governance and accountability issue. Artificial intelligence has prompted governments to regulate proactively, aiming to address potential harms before the technology becomes widespread. The EU AI Act uses a risk-based framework, banning certain high-risk applications and requiring transparency for general-purpose models. In the United States, executive orders require safety testing and reporting for frontier AI systems before public release. At the international level, initiatives such as the G7 Hiroshima AI process and the Bletchley Declaration are working to build shared standards for AI safety and responsible development. Intellectual property law has had to evolve alongside digital technology, creating important protections while also introducing new constraints for tech businesses. Software patents can safeguard meaningful innovations, but they also raise concerns about patent trolling, which can place a heavy burden on startups. The DMCA's takedown rules influence how digital content is distributed and how streaming businesses operate. At the same time, AI-generated content is challenging traditional ideas of authorship and ownership. Together, these issues show why digital innovation often moves faster than the legal frameworks designed to govern it. Tax rules are being redesigned because digital businesses can create substantial value in a market without maintaining a traditional physical presence there. The central shift is taxing where digital value is generated, not only where a company is headquartered. Digital services taxes, used in countries such as France and the UK, apply to revenue from activities like online advertising and platforms. OECD Pillar 2 introduces a global 15% minimum corporate tax to reduce profit shifting. Governments are also considering levies on data collection, treating data as an economic resource extracted by technology companies. Advanced technology is now treated as a strategic asset, not simply a commercial product. Governments are using regulation to protect security and preserve competitive advantage, including U.S. semiconductor export restrictions to China through the BIS Entity List. Foreign acquisitions of American technology firms may also face CFIUS review, while data localization rules require sensitive information to remain within national borders. Concerns about foreign-built telecom networks have contributed to restrictions on Huawei. For businesses, this means technology strategy must account for increasingly fragmented rules across jurisdictions. The message for business leaders is clear. Regulatory literacy is a core business competency. Monitor developments, build compliance into products from the start, and engage constructively in public consultations. Finally, design flexible business models that can adapt as regulatory expectations diverge across global markets.